This episode of Death Battle Cast is sponsored by Raycon and Untuck It. Stay tuned for some great deals you can get with them later on in the show. Oh no, you're catching me in the middle of a yawn. Oh no.
Oh wait, we got to stop the podcast. Bad start. Let's redo it. Yeah.
Start over. Let's start. We're not live yet, right?
Oh, we're live.
Why does our intro always take so long? The bit is like that we're unprofessional or something like that. Is that the bit to our intro?
No, that wasn't a bit.
That's
was
a bit?
legit.
Okay.
Welcome to the Death Battle Cast. We're the casting crew of Death Battle and stuff here at Rooster Teeth. I'm Ben. I'm the voice of Wiz.
I'm Sam. I do produce.
You do produce.
I'm Kyle. I get slapped around by a wrestler.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
And I'm Josh. I edit Death Battle.
Hey, Death Battle bro.
Yeah.
Somebody else here actually works on Death Battle. Oh my god.
I mean, I'm writing one right now.
You are?
Yeah.
That's true.
Trying to, at least. It's very difficult.
There's a lot going on as we're heading into the 2020 season, which is really cool. But we just released a new episode, Mob vs. Tatsumaki. The third to last episode of this year. We have two more. The one that was announced, Deadpool versus The Mask, which is great, and then our season finale after that, which you'll have to wait until the end of Deadpool versus Mask to find out what that matchup is. But it's going to be really cool. I'm really excited about these last couple episodes.
So, 2 more weeks, pretty much?
2 more weeks until
Deadpool
Mob
Mask.
Deadpool versus Mask airs.
And then they get to see what
you
it
get
is.
to see what the season finale is. Which is maybe our biggest 3D fight of the year.
Yeah.
The 3D team has been kicking ass.
I don't think it's a
in this
maybe.
finale.
I think it's just,
It's
our
definitely,
biggest 3D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had some pretty cool 3D fights this year. Some pretty creative ones.
Yeah.
From the Source Filmmaker guys with Ganondorf
Yeah.
Dracula. And then trying out new things with like Weiss versus Mitsuru.
Yeah.
Like we've been kind of going all over the map in terms of different kinds of fights this year.
Yeah,
and I
that's
love
fair.
it. But if you have not seen Mob vs. Tatsumaki yet, we will be spoiling it here because today is Q&A day. We are diving into the comments, for better or worse, and answering any
It's
questions.
worse. Come on, it's always worse, right?
There's some fine comments. But we are answering some of the questions that you guys have, and then we got plenty of stuff to talk about after that, like the new Sonic trailer dropped. Oh my god. Stadia's games have been announced. Oh my god.
There's more than Destiny 2 on Stadia? What?
There's a couple more.
Yeah.
You can look forward to titles such as Just Dance 2020.
Hey.
Oh boy.
Hooray.
But anyway, let's get into this Q&A because there's a good chunk of questions, but I feel like we can get through them pretty quickly. So the first question is, and again, if you have not seen Mob vs. Tatsumaki, this is about to spoil everything. So please go watch it. If you're watching this live as a first member and still haven't watched it, it's okay. You can go watch it. So the first question is, Tatsumaki took a major head injury in the fight. Doesn't that mean she should have lost her psychic powers? So we mentioned in the rundown that head injuries to espers in the One Punch Man universe can mess with their powers. It doesn't take it away, it just messes with her powers. And she's incredibly powerful already. In the manga, I believe it talks about how head injuries can like hurt her if she uses her powers and damage her powers and things like that. One thing to keep in mind about Death Battle is that it is a contained, like a self-contained fight.
Right.
Like there's nothing after it in terms of what this character is meant to do. A character is going to put their all into a death battle, even if that means, frankly, ruining the rest of their life just to win this one battle. That's how we kind of present it. So if Tatsumaki has severe injuries after this because she used her powers while having a serious head injury, then that's just how it is. But she still is able to win the battle, spoilers, because
no self-preservation.
she's super powerful.
Yeah.
Now that makes me think like every winner of a death battle is just like there's a hospital ward and they're all like vegetables, just like because they put everything into the fight. Yeah.
For a lot of them, they kind of go away pretty badly injured.
Yeah.
That's most of them, I feel like.
Years ago, I actually thought about like making just a little mini series about what happens to the victors and the
Yeah.
losers, and maybe like the losers are in like a loser's hell, and the victors are in a victor's heaven or whatever.
Yeah.
And I always pictured them both being hospital wards, like
Yeah,
just
for
all
sure.
in
Yeah.
horrible shape
Yeah.
afterwards. The second question is, how did Mob die to a meteor? He survived way more powerful stuff than that. So the meteor kill move was obviously a nod to the anime meteor feat, which technically is not canon, but we discuss in the actual episode why that shouldn't matter based on Tatsumaki's other feats. Either way, it's important to note, and I feel like some people might have been a little confused by this, and we tried to do our best to explain it, but Mob didn't just die to a meteor. Like, the episode did not end with Tatsumaki just dropping a rock on Mob. She literally crushed all of his psychic energy and just erased it. Like, that's what she did in the fight. That's why she does the little grip thing, and then all of his psychic like barrier stuff just gets shattered and pulled away. So, because it's this weird psychic energy thing, if you're not super familiar with how those psychic powers work, you might not have necessarily got that off of a single watch through. I totally understand that, but that's basically what was happening. She overpowered his psychic ability. I just realized I do not have the chat open. I'm actually going to bring that up. If you are a first member watching live, I'm going to be checking out the chat as well. We will actually be using that to determine today this week's community death battle, which will be fun, but we'll get to that. So the next question is, why did you not use 1000% Mob? So this, I think this is just a little bit of confusion over how Mob's powers work. At a certain point in Mob Psycho 100, he actually transfers his powers over to Reagan, who everybody's favorite character from the series. If you haven't watched Mob Psycho 100, like, you should. Like, it's a really fucking dope series. But he transfers his powers to Reagan, and Reagan gets 1000% power. And we mention it in the slates, I believe, for the episode, Mob vs. Tatsumaki. But it's not that he can boost himself to 1000%. It's that he can give his friends 1000% power. That's just one of his abilities. Also, Reagan doesn't actually have any powers, so it might have something to do with that. Like, he's 1000% more powerful because he was at like 0 before. So the change in power level is drastically different. So whether or not you want to interpret it as his friendship is more powerful than his own power, or
Sounds like anime.
Yeah.
or Reagan, and Mob Psycho is very much about Mob like opening up to people, about him accepting himself for who he is. So his powers literally run on emotions. So if friendship is basically the ultimate emotion in a way. So like bonding with people.
Can sex be an emotion?
You know what? Okay, yeah. Okay, sex
But
is probably
not
the ultimate
anything,
emotion.
yeah.
So would he have 10,000% power?
Maybe.
There you go.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he was kind of trying for that the whole time, and then his girl told him no. Maybe that's the sequel, Mob Psycho 1000. Anyway, next question. You forgot Mob destroyed an entire universe once. Why did you ignore that? We did have a tab for this, and as we've mentioned, the tabs are generally for the people who are really into versus matchups and the like specific details that wouldn't necessarily matter too much for the more casual audience. And we did address this universe-destroying feat. It's not really a universe-destroying feat. It's more of an illusion-destroying feat, and that's why we didn't say that he's like a universe destroyer, especially since there's no other occasion where he does such a thing. So we couldn't use that as a grounding for his power. Next question. Mob twisted Tatsumaki all around like a noodle in the fight. How did she survive that? I really wanted to include this because this is one of the like trademark things in the Mob Psycho series, the like twisting of the body, and I figured Tatsumaki could just hold herself together with the psychic power afterwards, so that's why that's there. It's a cool finishing move for Mob that Tatsumaki is able to interrupt essentially. It's funny how you. Okay, here's a question that I think you guys will like. It's funny how you guys always say the victor has more speed or durability or power or experience than the other. Come on. Why don't you pick a new trope to BS your way through? These are getting old.
What? It's funny that the victor is the stronger one. Is that what that's saying? It's like
This is a direct quote from the comments.
They always have more speed or power or experience. Those are what make you stronger. That's why you win. I don't understand.
Yeah.
What, that comment. You're just basically saying it's funny how you pick the stronger person. Like, what the fuck?
But guys, like, we need to give an argument for somebody because they're just nicer.
Right.
They're so much
Yeah.
nicer. So they win a death
Nicest
battle.
wins. Yeah.
I don't know. I saw that comment and thought either they're trolling me or it's just like
Right.
Gotta
yeah.
be. That or they're certainly not smarter than their competition.
Oh no.
We forgot about the niceness power scaling or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we did mention how friendship is the most powerful emotion,
Absolutely.
Okay.
or sex is, whichever one.
It
I guess it
your
depends on
attitude.
who you are.
We'll have to do a lot of research.
Oh boy.
Blend them together. There you go. You got the winner.
There you go. Friends with benefits never meant so much. Okay. Mob beat a guy who had 30 years of experience on him. Why does Tatsumaki's greater experience matter at all? And this actually is kind of similar to something I think we talked about last Q&A, in that one of the things with Death Battle is that when we're trying to determine who should win in a fight, there's often this issue when it comes to comparing to how stories are told. The way most stories are told, the weaker character is usually our protagonist is usually the weaker character, right? When Link goes up against Ganondorf, he's typically the weaker character.
Yeah.
Ganondorf has so much more power than Link.
It's
He
the-
literally possesses the Triforce of power,
Yeah.
but Link is able to defeat him through courage, through wit, and through a little bit of luck.
And like 40 hours of preparing for the fight, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
If we were to put Link and Ganondorf in a death battle against each other, I can't say for 100% certain without actually doing it, but I would imagine Ganondorf might actually come on top of that just because of the stats and the history of the characters and things like that. Like, we're not looking at these fights as a story. We're looking at them as a, like, puzzle. Which character would win based on what they have over the other. And so experience does come into play there. Sure, Mob was able to beat somebody with more experience than him, which does help his
That's
argument.
also more so because Mob was much more powerful.
Well,
And
sure.
that guy's 30 years of experience helped him hold toe with somebody stronger than him.
Well, that's how it helps the argument,
yeah.
because then it suggests that, well, if Mob is more powerful than a person, then experience doesn't really matter at that point because he can overwhelm them. Unfortunately, Tatsumaki is a lot more powerful than Mob, so the whole experience thing actually ends up helping Tatsumaki. It's just a thing that we have to consider with Death Battle. It's not the same as a story, a climactic showdown in a story. It is a puzzle. It is a logical setup that we are working with here. So almost done with questions. One, the mangaka for both One Punch Man and Mob Psycho 100 has said that Mob is stronger than Tatsumaki. So your argument is automatically invalid. So I saw this come up a lot when we announced this, and also in the comments. A lot of people saying that because one has addressed this, it seems to be misinterpreted a lot. Like, everybody I saw talking about it said a different quote. So the actual thing that one said was, he was asked, like, what would happen if Mob and Tatsumaki would fight, and he said Mob is definitely weaker than Tatsumaki, but he's not sure what would happen once Mob went into question mark form, because the whole idea of Mob's question mark form was he's not all powerful per se, but he's just enormously powerful compared to his normal self, or even his 100% self. And that's basically what he said. Tatsumaki would win if Mob was at 100% or lower, but he's not sure what would happen if Mob went into question mark form. Based on our own calculations, there's no way question mark form could ever come close to Tatsumaki. The difference is just that much more powerful. So even if you were to multiply question mark form by like 1,000%, or 100%, by like 1,000% to get to the question mark, or whatever you want to do, it's not going to necessarily beat what Tatsumaki has. So that's what we came to. And also, we've talked about the word of God thing before. Like, an author doesn't necessarily, well, what an author says off the record doesn't necessarily apply to what we're doing, because Death Battle bases things off of what the characters have done, not off of what the author says. Because an author can just say anything. Like, they have their own ideas for how their characters work, and 99% of the time, they're not thinking about this kind of thing at all. Because this is not how this relates to the last question. This is not how storytelling works. Storytelling doesn't work by sitting down and figuring out how many tons of rock your character can psychically lift. Like, maybe some stories do, but most of them don't. I highly doubt one was like, okay, when Tatsumaki catches all these bullets and turns them around on board the ship, that means that she can move this amount of tons of material all at once, and I got to keep that in mind for the next story.
Right, no, he was like, it would be fucking cool if this giant ass bullet was caught in midair with psychic power, turned around and launched at a big ship. That'd be cool.
It's honestly, it's like Iraqi does the JoJo, and he has like the books that like power rank all of them, and they're just like fucking letter grades that don't make any sense when it's like what is it? Star Platinum's supposed to be like kind of slow, and then Silver Chariot's like the fastest. He's like an S rank, but Star Platinum still stops Silver Chariot in the anime, so it's like that doesn't make like none of it adds up. Like you have to think about what they're doing and stuff. Like he was just like, pretty much give him like Pokemon grades, like just because that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like,
and those can change over time as well. Like a writer will change their opinions of how a character stacks up as the story goes, either through progression of the story of the character, or just because they reach a certain point in the story and they're like, oh shit, in order for this to work, this character has to suddenly be fast enough to keep up with this one. Whatever, I guess they were always fast enough. Like sometimes that just happens, and whether or not a character suddenly changes in power level doesn't always necessarily mean that the story is damaged by that. Sometimes it is if the power levels are part of the story, like a lot of shonen stories are. But like if you're reading, a lot of fantasy stories, I guess, will have like differing power levels, especially through like soft magic systems where there's not a whole lot of definition to what the magic can do, and oftentimes that just works fine. Like things just fluctuate. Fairy Tail actually is probably a good example of that, where similar to Mob Psycho, their powers are very much driven by emotions, and so there will be random points in the Fairy Tail story where characters just suddenly get way more powerful than they're supposed to be, but it's because like they're fighting for their friends.
Oh, they're
stuff.
big on the power of friendship.
Yeah,
and eating fire, like
eating fire.
And if you're into that, then like that's a really good way to do that sort of storytelling. If you're not into power of friendship all that much, if you think it's too cheesy or overplayed, then you're probably not gonna like Fairy Tail. But
very stupid writing tool.
Yeah. Everybody's got their own opinions on that. But I will say, even if you don't like how Fairy Tail deals with it, you should definitely check out Mob Psycho. I often see people think like whenever we kill off a character, quotation marks, it means that we don't like that character or we don't like the character's series. And that's couldn't be farther from the truth.
That's great.
Yes, Tatsumaki won here.
It's often the opposite, just because usually the overpowered characters come from mediocre writing, whereas the grounded characters lose, which are from writing I typically like.
It's more nuanced writing.
It's almost always the opposite. Is the person that wins, I'm like, oh, fuck that boring story. Like,
and I think this is an example of that. Like, Tatsumaki comes from a story where it's literally about people being overpowered. Like, that's One Punch Man. Whereas Mob Psycho 100 is about a kid dealing with trauma in his life and having to cope with that and cope with himself. Like, it's a way more, like,
much more
nuanced and interesting story. Unless you really dive into, like, the like One Punch Man certainly has its own fair share of like nuance and like when you really dive into Saitama's issues and Tatsumaki's issues and how they're just so depressed.
Right. It's like there's no challenge. Yeah, and that's what like the story's about kind of.
There's plenty of stuff to take from One Punch Man. I don't want to necessarily say that it's just about people punching people. But like
but that's what you're waiting for. You're waiting for the big punch the whole time.
Mob Psycho 100 is definitely a lot more focused on a specific kind of story than One Punch Man, and so it's a really good little story to watch, and I highly recommend it. Everybody talks about One Punch Man as like the great thing from one, but like Mob Psycho 100 is done, for one thing. Like, it's a complete story. You can go watch it, you can go read that manga, and it's great. And you can get an ending, and it's awesome. It's not some, like, ever continuous shonen that One Punch Man's probably going to be. But either way, last question. Why did Mob lose when he's a gag character?
Mob's a gag character?
I don't know.
What do they mean by that?
I saw a couple people saying this, and I think this kind of plays into how we were talking about how Saitama is sort of a gag character in that he doesn't play by the normal rules, and so if we were to bring him into Death Battle, it would be hard to figure out how Saitama would match up against other
Right.
people. Mob doesn't. So I think this comes from the idea that when he goes question mark form, he's just impossibly powerful in his universe. But even though he's like this ultimate form in his universe, that doesn't necessarily mean he's a gag character. That's like saying the Phoenix Force in X-Men is a gag character. Like that's kind of what it is in a way. Obviously not the same thing, but power scaling wise, comparison to other characters, it's sort of like something like that. So I wouldn't say Mob is a gag character. I wouldn't say that his power set doesn't play by Death Battle's rules, but I guess I can understand the confusion in that. But I definitely don't interpret him as a gag character at all. I don't know about you guys, but that's just the way I see it.
No, he's not a gag character.
Yeah. All right, but that covers all of the questions.
Yay!
So we can move on to some ridiculous stuff.
Yeah, what is going on? But before that, let me tell you about Raycon. Look, it's a wireless world and everyone needs a great pair of wireless earbuds. But before you go dropping hundreds of dollars on a pair, you need to check out the wireless earbuds from Raycon. You already know Raycon earbuds start at about half the price of other premium wireless earbuds on the market, and that they sound just as amazing as other top audio brands. Raycon's latest model, the E25, is the best one yet. With 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, and more bass and more compact design that gives you a nice noise-isolating fit. Trust me, I have a pair of Raycons, and the noise-isolating thing is super, super, super useful in like just an office environment where there's chit-chat and chattering going on. It's great. Great headphones. I love them. Raycon's wireless earbuds are so comfortable, perfect for on-the-go listening and for talking or taking phone calls, which is true. They're not just earbuds. You can take the calls with them. They have cool buttons so you can like skip tracks. You can pick up phone calls. You can mute stuff. You can do the volume up and down. Like, they're really cool. And not only that, it looks like you're a secret agent when you do it too, because you just touch your ear. It's super sweet. So, I mean, you've heard me talk about them. There's a whole bunch of celebrities that endorse him, like Snoop Dogg and Cardi B and Melissa Etheridge, who's I'm sure really popular with the kids. But what's really gonna sell this deal for you? A discount, which we've brought to you. So you can get 15% off your first or your order at buyraycon.com/cast. That's buyraycon.com/cast for 15% off Raycon wireless earbuds. buyraycon.com/cast. Let's get back to the show. Well, good boys and girls down there. You had a story about this, Ben, that I don't know anything about?
Okay, so a bunch of stuff has come up since we set up the titles for down there.
Yeah,
for
like
the
we
subjects
didn't
we're
know
gonna
they
talk
were
about.
going to do the Sonic
world's
trailer this
different.
morning.
right.
So real quick, I do want to just cover what's down there.
So the post-Sonic trailer timeline.
Yeah.
So forgive us.
So the good boys and girls thing is if any of you saw the latest Nintendo Direct, Terry Bogard was shown off in Smash Bros. Ultimate, and there was a brief moment where Sakurai mentioned that Mai Shiranui was not going to be in Smash because Smash is for good boys and girls, which obviously you can interpret very clearly. So the thing about that I do want to mention is it's technically a mistranslation because he actually said Mai is not in Smash Brothers because Sero doesn't want us to do it because it would change our age rating.
Okay.
So Smash Ultimate has an A rating in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So the way their age ratings works is it starts with A. A basically means E for everyone.
Okay.
And then B, C, D, depending on the maturity of content. And sexual content is apparently a big deal, where if there's
Yeah.
a little bit.
For
Any
an
sort
A,
of-
like for everyone kind of thing, like, yeah, it's sex.
Well,
It would bump
right.
it up a
And
grade.
by sexual content, I mean apparently, according to Sakurai himself in a previous interview for Smash Wii U, he had a lot of trouble getting Palutena in Smash Brothers because she had to be remodeled multiple times. Because
Cover up the cleavage or something, right?
specifically, when you take a game to Sero, what they do is they tell, at least according to Sakurai, they ask you to turn all the female models upside down and look down their
Their skirt.
dresses.
Okay.
Yeah, to see
Sounds like
what's
Sarah
down
has
there.
a bunch of perverts just
Yeah,
like,
that's
show me
weird
those
about it.
models.
Yeah.
I want to see those models right now. Show me their
Standard
skirts.
protocol.
Like,
And
Flip them upside down.
yeah.
if I guess if there's just a little too little fabric there, you're not getting that A rating.
They checking for panties or something?
Yeah,
Like, okay.
they're checking for panty
Well,
shots basically.
In Mai's thing, essentially, is like it's pretty ridiculous. Like
Her butt cheeks are hanging out pretty well.
with there's not much left to the
And that
imagination.
answers the Bayonetta question because she's totally covered.
Right.
It's with hair that looks like leather, right?
Yeah.
Is that it?
She's
But,
totally
yeah.
covered. Well, and then they also did have to, if you kind of recall, in the Bayonetta games when she's using her powers, her hair, everything comes off.
Right.
Like she's just got a little bit right here, a little bit down there, but it's like the friggin' G-string of hair covering her up.
Yeah.
In Smash Brothers, it's a pretty solid.
Right.
She keeps a pretty solid outfit on at all times.
Yeah.
So they definitely had to change that. Or they probably didn't even bother trying to
Right,
include
yeah,
like,
yeah,
they
what it
probably
actually
fucking
was in the
knew,
games. But for that does mean I don't know if they could have
I
redesigned
feel like
her
you
well
could have
enough.
put tights on her.
Sure.
Does she
You
have like
could've
a
just had her wear some tights?
yeah,
and it
like an
would've been
alternate
fine.
outfit or something?
Yeah,
Maybe like
that probably would literally solve it.
But then
'cause
do
she
people
wouldn't be
get
showing,
mad
like,
at
any
that
skin.
because you're changing too much about the
Yeah,
character?
probably. Which is a good enough reason to not do that.
yeah.
Although I would say I feel like Terry Bogard is a pretty lame addition. Like,
What, you mean Ken with a hat?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like you already have
no,
Ken.
no.
Like I don't know. I feel like there's so many other things that a lot of people would have rather seen than Terry Bogard, but
I appreciate Terry being in the game because it's good to have King of Fighters being
Yeah,
represented.
yeah,
like
no, I
of
get
all
it, yeah.
games, I don't know that
of
series,
all games, I can think of so many more. Like,
I think that series doesn't get nearly enough credit these days for how fantastic it's been and how long running it is. Like it's a classic. It's a game that helped define the genre way back
you could
when.
say the same thing about a lot of games, though. Like you could say the same thing about Samurai Showdown.
I don't know. I don't know about Samurai Showdown is
You could
defining
say-
the genre.
The same thing about Virtual Fighter.
Yeah,
Not a fucking
technically,
doubt
yes,
about
but you
it.
could also. I also don't know if I would consider Virtua Fighter a classic.
Well, then
What
what
about
about Soul
Vex-
Calibur?
Soul Calibur.
Yeah, absolutely.
Soul Calibur character. I mean, Ivy's gonna be a tough one, but you could still get like Nightmare's fine, right? Like
Yeah.
Siegfried,
Yeah.
like just a big night guy. He would have been great. Been wonderful.
I think there's going down the road of, but what about this character? I think it's kind of a dangerous path to take for Smash Brothers though, because it's kind of endless. Like it could be anything.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like
What
I
about
wish
Vector
this
Man? Let's get
character's
Vector
there.
Man in there.
Let's get
Yeah.
Gex.
I don't think either of those deserve it.
But
They haven't had a game in 20 years. Like
you know who is in Smash Brothers though? Sonic the Hedgehog.
And he is also in a movie. Is it still supposed to be Valentine's Day?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
How
day
romantic.
of. Yeah. I mean, if your girl's into that,
weird.
why not? Yeah.
I didn't
You're
even
gonna go
notice
see
that.
Sonic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
definitely Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
I don't know
Either
what it's
that
like
or you're gonna
competing
s-
against that year.
It's a.
Yeah.
What are your Valentine's Day movie options?
Bet there's a lot of
next year?
couples that are Sonic fans, also fans of other stuff.
What is coming? Okay,
What
I'm gonna
other
look
stuff,
this up.
Sam?
I
I'm
really
curious.
wanna know
What other
he's going
stuff?
Up against.
Yeah.
Furry stuff. Let's be honest.
Wait. Just you're saying Sonic fans are into furry stuff? Is that what you're
It's
saying?
Sally Acorn's fault.
What? Sally Acorn?
Yeah, it's her fault.
Sally Acorn and Rouge the Bat.
Yeah,
ruined
yeah.
everything.
Well, yeah.
They made kids,
I don't actually know what these
middle school crushes a squirrel.
Well,
and
let's
then-
be real. Let's be real.
out-
Lola
look where
Bunny
we are.
had a part to play in that
Oh,
also.
Lola Bunny is
Yes.
yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
Lola Bunny was probably more
the
so.
first one. Yeah.
Maxine from the Goofy movie.
Oh yeah.
Lola Bunny like
Throw her
made
under the
this
bus.
made furries like public knowledge.
What about who is the one in Chippendale Rescue Rangers? That what?
Gadget?
Gadget?
Yeah, Gadget, yeah. There were a lot of
Yeah.
anamorphic crushes in our upbringing.
Of
Yeah,
course.
And
I
you're
think
like
we were the
3,
first.
4, 5.
I don't think
yeah.
everybody, like, nobody in, like, the 1960s, 70s is like, that Minnie Mouse, woo!
Right.
Like, nobody
Right.
hit that shit. It was like, yeah. It
But it
was
also
like
wasn't
Lola
marketed
Bunny
the
and
same
shit.
way because what is the thing that Reagan passed? The thing where they can make cartoons be commercials for toys and whatever. Because that didn't exist back
Yeah.
when Minnie Mouse started. Like they
Right.
weren't trying to sell Minnie Mouse to people.
Right.
It was just
It was just a
a
cartoon.
character
Yeah,
in a
it's fun.
cartoon,
Yeah.
and the cartoon as a whole was what they were selling. But I can't
It was
remember
some-
what
it
it
was
was
some
called.
media rule that
but
he
they
changed.
changed it. Reagan passed whatever it was called that made it possible to make TV cater to children in a commercial sense. And so now they're like, oh, let's sell them sex, I guess.
Yeah, I guess
know.
so. But it might have started with He-Man because like
That was when it
yeah,
all started.
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
those kinds of shows.
You know that at some point in time, Playboy must have approached Disney about Lola Bunny.
Oh yeah.
There's
To
no
get
way
Lola
that
Bunny in the
didn't
magazine.
happen.
Yeah.
That they didn't at least try.
Shit, do I Google that?
You're gonna find some weird stuff, I bet, and it'll be
I'm
on your computer forever.
Pretty positive.
Not if I do it in incognito mode.
There you go.
Could you imagine that, like 2003, the first ever cartoon Playmate, like that headline would have sold fucking copies of that magazine.
I bet they discussed it in the Playboy
The
room.
conversation
like,
must have come
The
up.
conversation came up. I don't know if they
Like
pitched
she's
it.
a hot
yeah.
bunny.
Right.
Nothing came up.
What
on the first
else?
page,
Like
so I'm
it's
done.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
anyways.
hot bunny. She's already in the like basketball pants.
Yeah.
And then, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't think
Space
they've
Jam's
also-
hot right now. Yeah. Let's do
Space
it.
Jam 2's coming out. What are they gonna do with that?
It's gonna come up again. Some guy's gonna dust off his proposal. He's gonna go dust everywhere. Yeah. It just says naked bunny on the fucking
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh my
That's
god.
how they get back. Well, if they would lose the Chinese market, that's how you get your money back.
Oh yeah. It's like we lost the Chinese market. Naked
go to the
Lola.
porn market.
Yeah. Sorry, Lola. You gotta bear all.
Yeah.
So what do you think the God damn it.
The over under is on seeing her under.
No. I wanted to get back to talking about Sonic.
Oh,
and I
yeah,
was trying to
I
figure out a
did.
good
But
segue
isn't it
to
weird
Sonic.
that
The
Bugs
re-
Bunny is naked all the time? We don't bat an eye, but Lola has to cover up.
Yeah, that is
Yeah,
weird.
that is weird. Yeah.
Sally Acorn did not though.
It's true.
She had a vest on.
Not at first.
Oh, really?
Oh, you
Not
think
at
somebody
first.
came in and was just like, you got to cover this up. What? We're not showing nip. It's just, curvy.
She did not wear a vest at first, and then they put on a vest, and the vest covered everything but the tits.
Yeah.
That feels like someone trolled them. It's just like, she's got to wear clothing. Okay. And then it's just like clearly not covering any of
Yeah.
the important bits.
Just like-
she's got clothes. Hey.
There you go. It's like giving a naked person a hat. It's like okay, cool, sure, whatever, bud. But anyways, yeah, Sonic is back. The remodel looks a lot better. It's
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
It's cool that a studio like listened.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you were-
see, I was saying, like, even if I end up not... I want to see the movie, but if for some reason I can't go see the movie, I still want to, like, buy a ticket to give them money to
Right.
say, like,
Thanks for
support
listening.
this. Yes, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Like, this company needs to be rewarded for listening and doing a good job with the
Right.
redesign.
And if it-
instead of just doubling
does-
down on the bad
Yeah.
because it was going to cost money to
I
fix it.
don't know if it's because they picked a much better song. Like
yeah.
Gangster's Paradise was not the play on
Right,
the original
right,
trailer.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
very like that original trailer was full of some intense mediocrity.
Yeah.
Yes,
Poor
I agree.
decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
Like,
one,
it's not just Sonic's design, the trailer and what they show. Everything
Yeah.
is a lot better than
Yeah.
what
and
it
this
feels
trailer,
so much
like
better.
I get so much more of an idea of where the fuck that story's going and like why Sonic's there. Him just explaining like I had to come to your world to save mine. I'm like, oh, okay,
Right.
cool.
It's
Yeah,
interesting
We're in
he
it
wants
now.
to steal my
Because of all
power
this
because I'm
stuff.
super
Yeah, like,
fast.
okay,
Gotta go
we're here.
fast.
Yeah, like
Chili dog. Like, that's all you
Fine,
need
yeah,
for the movie.
like,
That was the
really.
movie right there. Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
interesting
like,
that
I was
all
there.
this stuff gave them like we get to try again basically. Let's just
Right.
start over and make a new
But
trailer.
how
and
effective is
rework
that
the whole
actually
thing.
going to be?
Yeah, see, I don't know. And if
I feel
it
like to an
bombs-
extent the original Suicide Squad kind of did that,
yeah,
right?
They had like 6 trailers.
Yeah.
and each one was different.
Yeah, but
Right.
they didn't change so drastically, though.
No, no, no.
Like,
The
they
logo
didn't
changed a lot.
recast anybody, basically. Yeah, the logo changed a lot, and the
gosh.
edit changed a lot, but we didn't know what the edit looked
Yeah,
like
yeah.
beforehand,
Right,
so
yeah.
we didn't know any of that until after we saw the movie.
Yeah.
In this case, it feels like it's an entirely different movie, but how many people are just not going to go see it anyway just because of the bad taste they got? The
And
bad
then
first
studios will be
impression.
like, we're never
everybody who
listening to audiences
complained
again.
Yeah, everybody who complained needs to go buy a ticket because
Absolutely.
they listened. They listened.
you're
So
obligated.
yeah, like if
You
you
can-
complained
you can
anywhere,
watch
yeah.
it and then complain again if you want. If
Right,
it does
yeah.
suck, but like give it an honest chance because they listen. Like it's something. Yeah, it's something. Companies typically don't listen.
Right.
So
yeah, that's why I'm like
maybe
encourage the
support
company listening.
their even though is it who is it 21st Century Fox?
Yeah. Maybe I don't know.
Why am I blanking?
It's not
There
Warner
was one thing I
Brothers,
wanted
is
to
it?
talk
I
about his
don't
character
think so.
design though that I found
There
interesting.
goes us paid. I'm gonna watch
we
that shit
couldn't
for free.
we couldn't tell if he had the like Una eye in the new design or not, and it looks
Oh,
he
yeah.
doesn't.
He
but
has, like,
there's
a little
little
bridge.
Yeah, there's a little piece of white colored fur to make
Yeah.
it look like a eye,
Yeah.
but it's not.
Yeah,
and
I
I thought
like-
that was really clever.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
what they did. His eyes look so much better.
He looks way better.
Wait,
Yeah.
a little white piece? In
Yeah, it's like
between the
right
eye?
above his nose. Most of the time, his nose is hiding it, but it's like it was
Oh, you're
one of the
right.
shots. Yeah, there's like a
Yeah.
little white piece of fur.
Yeah.
It makes it look like his eyes connected. And I was like,
Oh.
that was clever. Somebody
That's
thought about
smart.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure people were
Yeah.
going back and
Paramount.
forth. Yeah,
Paramount,
Okay. What up, Paramount? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
curious.
thank you.
Do you think that they've redesigned like the bulk of the movie at this point, or did they just kind of prioritize stuff they were going to do in a second trailer?
No, I bet they. Oh, I see what
like,
you're saying.
did they do reshoots? Like extensive
That's
reshoots?
I want to
just
know
because of the
how
whole
deep they
process.
were in on.
Right.
That's a
like,
good question,
Like,
too,
was
yeah.
was half the movie done with the old design, or was it just they just did the trailer and we're like, yeah, we have enough time to get it done, so like let's just focus on the trailer, throw that out, and then get the rest of the shots done, and
Right.
then they were like, oh shit, we need a redesign.
That's probably
Yeah, and I
what
wonder,
we
is it
actually-
like
yeah.
a straight model swap, or like did they have to do a couple reshoots where it's like now the eye line's off or
Right.
something like that? That'd be an interesting.
I'm sure the
story.
eye line, because he's shorter, like that shot in the truck. Like I'm sure he had to look lower. I'm sure they had to like adjust his eyes or something like that.
I don't know if he's actually shorter. He's shorter?
I don't know.
He looks it.
So
I don't-
that would be interesting to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, they like really powered through to get all those extra shots for this new trailer.
I'm going to say, and this is entirely just a prediction based on whatever we see in this trailer, that there's no reshoots with the cast because that would have been too
Yeah.
expensive.
Probably,
But
yeah.
there are reshoots with Sonic, where they went out back to their set, was like, okay, let's put all the stuff back together where it was. All right, now let's just shoot a still shot of this chair, and we're gonna have them do some new stuff in this chair. All right, that's
Yeah.
our reshoot.
Okay.
They probably have a bunch of new stuff like that.
I would be way more interested in a documentary about this process. That would be fascinating. I would love
Yeah.
to see like the whole decision-making process, having to go back and tell all these animators.
Investigative
Back to
reporting.
work.
It's like, sorry guys, we handed it like we
Oh my
listened to our
gosh.
intern, he gave us the design, and like we don't know why we went with it. Yeah.
Sonic behind the hog.
Oh my god.
Got it. Yeah, it's
And then
gotta
it's the
be a
Gangsta's
cluster,
Paradise
but,
music for that
Like
documentary
who
trailer.
made that
Yeah.
choice? That was such a bad choice.
That would be interesting if somebody was arguing really hard for it and they were like, everybody was afraid to say no, where they're like, I guess it's more realistic. It's like the Pokemon movie, kind of. But the Pokemon movie, the Pokemon looked like Pokemon. This didn't look like Sonic, but now it does.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know.
They definitely took inspiration from the Pokemon movie, I think. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
With
it
that
looks
first
great.
one?
no, with this one.
Okay.
the
It
redesign.
reminds me a lot of some of the Pokemon designs. Just the way they kind of kept that realistic sort of fur
Right.
look, but they made the eyes in particular very cartoonish.
Yeah, stay true
and that like
to
perfect little
yeah.
O mouth, like the cartoony elements definitely. The teeth just kind of being like one thing, right?
Yeah, they're barely visible.
scary
Like the
teeth.
last one, the last
Oh,
version,
the
the
human
human
teeth
teeth
were-
were very, very obvious.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if they changed the teeth model, but like the teeth are kind of hidden a little bit more that now, so it's a little more cartoonish, and they're just a brighter, like it's a much more vibrant looking model.
Yeah.
Which helps just by itself.
yeah.
It doesn't look like some kind of mangled rat person, which is what the old one looked like.
Something happened to Sonic when he came to our world. It doesn't make sense.
Someone threw him in a clothes dryer. Like, it's
He got
basically
stuck in a
what
pod with
happened.
Jeff Goldblum and a fly, and now he's this.
Oh God. Yeah, I don't see this movie doing very well.
You don't think it's gonna be the hot romantic ticket of Valentine's Day?
Yeah, the
2020?
Valentine's Day one is a little weird.
They also
but
released this trailer like in the middle
I
of the
think
night.
they know. I
apparently?
think they know
Yeah, they did.
their audience.
They know their audience.
That it's
Their date for February 14th is just Sonic.
It comes out on Valentine's Day. They release
Sonic
the
and
trailer
Lefty.
in the middle of the night. I feel like Paramount does not expect this movie to do anything worthwhile.
Or maybe they
don't
spent
know.
too much money to do the remodel, and they don't have enough money to like get a Thanksgiving Day trailer or something, like
Maybe.
a Thanksgiving Day spot where they're like, we just have to put it out, guys. We can't put it on the football game like we were.
I feel like they're also planning for substantial like overseas market on it too. Like,
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
I bet it'll do well.
Is it
elsewhere.
China approved? Is China gonna let this movie
Who knows,
hang?
man?
Yeah.
Probably. I don't know. Sonic has always been a franchise that does a lot better in the West than the East. In fact, it probably would not exist based on solely on its Japanese market right now. It doesn't sell nearly as well in Japan as it does over here.
All right, all you Sonic fans, you're going to have to buy 2, maybe 3 tickets to make this thing actually work. So get out there. I know you can do it. You spend all that money on every Sonic game, so just like you got it. Yeah, 4 tickets.
You
Go
don't
for
have
it.
to because it also just looks like a generic like. Let's bring this character into the real world.
Oh,
sort
it's
of movie.
not going to be a 10 out of 10 experience. Like,
Right.
let's just take that possibility off the table.
Well, like the
It seems like it's going to be fine. Like it won't be bad, but maybe it's not going to change the world.
Up. Like, I don't know.
going back to what I mentioned about like them doing reshoots of just Sonic, that the opening of this trailer where it shows just Sonic doing stuff, like that feels like that's what that is. They wanted to show more Sonic in the movie. So
And like
they
that
have
shot of
this
Green
whole
Hill Zone,
sequence where he's doing all this cute stuff where he's playing tennis or ping pong with himself.
and reading all the Flash comics and stuff.
Plays baseball
Yeah.
with himself, things like that. Like that stuff is going to be fun. I think
Yeah.
so long as there's a lot of that sort of like, what does Sonic do with
When
his
he's
super
bored.
speed just when he's bored?
Yeah.
I'm
wonder-
down for that.
I wonder if like someone at Paramount, like a fixer, like he saw what was going on and he's like came in and took over the movie. He's like, this is what we're doing. We're changing
My
the model.
thing is-
We're adding some shots. Yeah.
You could have had anyone there, like, that was just like remotely familiar with the franchise and liked the games, and I feel like they would have been like, "No, what is happening?" Like,
I mean,
how do you not understand the fucking franchise at all? Like that first model, like anyone in the studio should have been like, "This is gross. Like, what are we doing?"
well, it's like if the person in charge doesn't know what they're doing and everybody else is just a little too afraid to like,
Yeah.
I'm getting paid for this. I need to, I've got no gigs lined up for the next 6 months. I guess I just got to go with it.
And even if they are willing to say, no, don't do this,
Right.
it's not like they don't get the final say anyway.
Right. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
there's one person at the top who decides, no, we're making Sonic a mangled rat person.
I hope that person was fired. He probably cost them a lot of money.
Either way,
yeah.
we're kind of running short on time. I know, Josh, you want to talk a little bit about Stadia.
Oh yeah, I mean, they just released their launch titles, right? When is Stadia actually coming out?
So it comes out, I think, in just a couple weeks.
A couple weeks, and you get 12.
I want to say it's on the
games to launch
18th or
with,
something like that.
3 of which are Tomb Raider.
I think only 2 or 2.
November 19th. Oh, literally like next week.
Yeah.
So next week it comes out, and it's got 14 games. 14 games.
Oh, it's 14? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, sorry. 12 games.
12, yeah.
Then they get 14 games later before the end of the year.
So
Okay.
it'll be 14 total or 14 added after the 12?
14 added. So
Okay.
in total, it will be, what is that?
26?
26. Yeah,
Yeah.
12,
Yeah.
14, 26.
So you have 26 games on Stadia by the end of 2019.
Okay.
And what's the monthly cost?
It's high, right?
So
Or is it
the
just the cost of the
fa-
100? It's like the console's $139 or something like that, right?
the Founders Pack I know is, the Founders Pack is like $150 or $140, and you can't
Whoa.
actually play it this year unless you get that. They're not releasing the standard
Okay.
model unless it's changed. They're not releasing the standard model until next year.
So you need to
Yeah,
spend
which is fine.
$140 and then it's a monthly fee after that?
Yeah. There was
Okay.
also some news, like not all of the Founders Packs would be shipped in time. So like some people who
I feel
bought
like
it,
it's kind of like the original launch of the Oculus was like that, where it was like kind of weird.
yeah.
Ooh, not boding well for Stadia then.
Yeah.
Like some people who
Yeah.
ordered it, depending on who ordered it first, will get it day of release, and some people have to wait longer.
Okay. Huh.
I feel like that might be in some senses like one
Inside
of those
Gaming covered that.
artificial what do they call it? Artificial like limited stock things, like where
Oh, yeah.
it's like a lot of people are on the fence on Stadia because I think a lot of people are on the fence on it because it's like, I don't hate the idea. If it actually works well, it would be
Right,
sweet.
yeah.
Like if I could not have 3 consoles and just have one console and pay a $10 a month membership, like I'm down. Especially if you can play it at like PC quality.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah. And then you're sitting here on that fence and they're like, oh, we're running out of them.
Uh-oh.
You go, okay, well I might as well
I'll get
grab
one.
one. So I
Right.
feel like it might be one of those kind of deals.
Interesting. I'm trying to think of like, what's the Xbox subscription where it's like it includes Xbox and PC games? Like how much that costs a month?
Xbox Pass or whatever.
Yeah,
Oh,
their
Game Pass?
Yeah,
Game Pass.
like
Game
What-
Pass
yeah.
is
It's like 15, I think.
Is it for the PC
But
console
there's so many
combo?
specials.
Oh,
I feel
yeah,
like
they-
they've
they-
had a bunch of specials where it was like you can upgrade for a year for $1, like
Right.
that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
so Xbox. So it's Game Pass Ultimate. And Game Pass Ultimate is $15 a month. You can get a more individual one, whether it's Xbox or PC, for
Right.
$10 a month.
Hey, you might as well go Ultimate. Like,
Yeah, $5 extra
Five-
bucks.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you have an Xbox One,
mhm.
like I would consider it. If there was a game I really wanted on that, I would sign up for it. Not owning an Xbox One just to play it on PC. you know?
Yeah, yeah. And then what's the Stadia? Is it also 15
It's $9.99, I believe.
a month?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, $9.99 a month.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Not including the initial. Well, I guess technically you don't need to buy anything beforehand because you could play it on your computer or whatever. You just need Chrome.
Oh,
But if you want to
okay.
play it on your TV, you're gonna need
the
Chromecast
Stadia
Ultra.
box. Okay. Yeah.
Also, apparently, the only way to play with a wireless controller is to use Chromecast Ultra,
Okay.
which is kind of weird to me.
So you
That's-
wouldn't even be able to do it on a
Uh,
tablet, like a wireless controller, like.
Well, I wouldn't say that's not that weird because I assume the way it's working to like get the latency super low is important to the Chromecast Ultra.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and that is specifically what the
'Cause
controller is meant to do.
If you were just doing it like through the internet with the Bluetooth controller, the latency I'm sure would be pretty terrible.
Yeah.
yeah.
Whereas, like, I guess I'm assuming the Chromecast Ultra has some sort of trick up its sleeve, especially with the Stadia controller, because the Stadia controller is the only one that's supposed to be able to do the low latency thing. Like, I don't think
Yes.
you're gonna be able to use a Xbox controller with the low
The
latency.
reason why I think it's weird is because the way it's always been presented, at least from what I could tell, is that you would be able to use that controller with anything.
Yeah.
But apparently not. Can't hook that controller up to your PC,
Just
or
PC
anything
and
like
use
that.
it.
Just
Oh,
some,
really?
Oh, wow.
Just
I
some
mean, maybe
clever
you can
marketing.
through Bluetooth, but
Yeah.
it sounds like to me that you can only play Stadia with a controller through Chromecast.
That would be
Chromecast
weird.
Ultimate or whatever.
Chromecast Ultra.
Ultra. Okay.
Weird.
That would be very weird.
At least that's what it said on the last Inside Gaming weekend roundup
maybe it's
episode,
just
which I
strange
watched.
words.
This just sounds too complicated for
Maybe
me. I'm
it's
just gonna,
only you can only
really
play with a
complicated,
controller
for
on your
sure.
TV with a Chromecast Ultra, because that would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean,
Yeah.
your TV, like even if it has USB, it's not going to be. Able to
I just need a
support, like,
graphic with
controller.
like little check marks and X's for like what
Yeah,
what do you
yeah.
want to do? Look it up.
There's so
Yeah.
many like things going on with Stadia and
Yeah.
like little questions about it that are being answered separately. I don't know. Maybe they just didn't
Is
present
it-
this correctly, but
When
it
am I gonna get a
sounds more
Stadia?
confusing.
Did
Like
you-
it's supposed to be
Yeah.
this simple thing, right?
Yeah.
You get it. You don't need a console. You don't need anything. You just grab a controller and you play. But like it's the more I learn about it, the more
It's
complicated it
pretty
seems.
complicated, and then the launch titles are not super exciting.
Yeah.
Is
doesn't
the
help the
Samurai
fact.
Showdown on it new? Is that like a new Samurai Showdown?
I don't think so.
I know they have. Yeah, it is.
oh, it is.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
mostly it's a lot of new games and repeats.
Rise of the Tomb Raider Definitive Edition, Thumper.
And you said Just
Shadow
Dance is
Tomb
on there,
Raider.
right?
Just Dance 2020.
How you
Yeah.
gonna play that with a Stadia controller?
Mortal Kombat 11.
very carefully. Like you just hold it, or no, it comes with like a belt, and you put it on like a buckle, like a big old like Texas belt buckle, and then that's how you
there
do
you
it.
go.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I don't know. I don't know. Red Dead's on it.
Yeah.
One
You
or
also have to
two.
buy these games
I think it's
separately,
two.
right?
Oh,
Like,
do you, or
yeah,
is it just
it's not a subscription service.
It's not.
what?
No. No, oh, you guys didn't see that?
Wait,
It's
what?
not. Wait.
It's a
I
shop.
thought it was $10 for all those games.
No, it's a shop.
So you have to pay $10 a month to get access to the shop, and then you can buy the games.
Okay, yeah, fuck
What the
Stadia.
fuck?
Fuck
Yeah.
Stadia.
There's like
So
too
if
many
you-
what ifs.
If you,
and
if
like-
you got the Founders Collection or the Founders Pack, you get Destiny 2 for like 6 months or something like that for free.
Yeah. But who knows when it's going to be delivered? Like, did you order it at midnight? Did you use a Master or Visa card? These are all important things.
That's why it's like this
Yeah.
is way too complicated, guys.
Yeah. It
Just
really
simplify it. But it does kind of make sense that it's not a streaming service right off the bat, because like games are different from movies. The way they are produced, the way they are
Yeah.
distributed
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
different than movies. Like it's not going to be a 1-to-1 comparison to Netflix by any stretch for a long time. Maybe over the course of several years, Stadia can get to a point where it can be a Netflix. Netflix didn't become what it is today overnight.
Yeah.
It took
Well,
many
Netflix didn't
years.
become what it is today without getting to a point where they can produce exclusives that people gave a shit about.
Right.
It's really, and Netflix would probably suck right now if it wasn't
Google
for
does-
most of its exclusives. Like, it makes a lot of good shows.
Google does have its own game studio now.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll be pumping stuff out.
Feel like they should have done that earlier.
Right,
Honestly,
yeah.
it feels like a little late. Like having a Google game launch with Stadia would have been the perfect situation.
Yeah.
But that's a, hindsight kind of thing.
Let's be
Yeah.
real. If something can operate at a loss for a long time, it's anything Google does.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't YouTube operate at a loss? Like, or it
think
has
so,
been
yeah.
for a while.
I think
yeah.
YouTube has always operated at like a minimal loss.
Yeah, and it's like another
Which is one of the
Google's-
reasons why I think there was a recent
change with
hubbub
their,
about like,
yeah.
they're going to be deleting channels just because they don't make enough money or whatever. It's way less dramatic than I think the internet tried to make it out to
Right.
be, but they can
Yeah.
delete
They're going
channels
to
if
be
they are
deleting a
costing lot of
channel
money.
that's had 3 views and hasn't uploaded in the last 6 years. Like,
Specifically, I
it's gonna
think
be
it's
shit
they're going
like
to
that.
delete channels that are uploading like hundreds of hours of content and nobody's watching it.
Right,
Yeah.
you're taking up too much server space, or like,
Yeah.
they're spending too much time, like,
wanna know
with their
what the
lawyers trying to
fuck-
defend this channel,
Yeah.
and they're
Like-
just like, you cost us too much money. I'm sorry.
What
Exactly.
is the I mean, it's well beyond terabytes. It's probably beyond whatever bytes
Yeah.
I could even fathom. Like,
Petabytes?
what the fuck? It's got to be beyond
than
all that,
that,
shit.
yeah.
Like, how many bytes is YouTube?
How many bytes?
They mentioned before how
Yeah, what's beyond petabyte?
how much is uploaded every hour or every minute. Like, let me Google it real quick. How much is uploaded every minute?
It's just like, it's a disgusting amount.
300 hours of videos uploaded to YouTube every minute. So whatever 300
insane.
hours is in terms of gigabytes, like that's a lot to put on a server.
300
Right, yeah.
hours of just 1080p footage is like buck wild.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Every minute?
I could imagine them like,
That's insane.
Yeah.
Jesus
Them,
Christ.
And YouTube's
Yeah.
been around for 14 years? I'm
Yeah,
sure the
it's
rates
probably-
changed, but
it's-
still.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was like millions of petabytes. Like,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
a disgusting number.
All right, we need to get to our community
Yeah,
death
yeah.
battle. We've kind of gone pretty long, but yeah, it's crazy. Thank you for sticking with us, guys. Let's get to our community death battle. Before we get to that, let me tell you about one of our sponsors, Untuck It. The holidays are near here, and you know what that means. It's gift-giving season. And what better gift to give your favorite dude than a shirt that's designed to be worn untucked, which is exactly what Untuck It shirts are all about. Imagine that. You ever seen an untucked button down? They look pretty bad. Why? Because they weren't meant to be worn that way. Enter Untuck It, the original button-down shirt that's actually designed to be worn untucked. If anybody can post in the comments below how many times I say the word tuck, I'd appreciate it. There's a lot of them. Untuck It shirts always fall at just the right length, no matter his size, so he'll look casual and sharp. They actually sent me a shirt, and dude, these guys know what they're doing. It's really comfy. It looks great. It's such a fantastic shirt. Easily one of my new favorite shirts. So whether you're shopping for the perfect holiday gift or just trying to craft a smart, relaxed style of your own, Untuck It is the way to go. Visit untuckit.com and use the code CAST for 20% off at checkout. That's that's UNTUCKIT.com and promo code CAST, C-A-S-T, for 20% off. Thanks, Untuck It. Okay, so the way this is going to work, if you're our first member watching this live, first of all, thank you. We really appreciate you. You guys get to decide what's going to be the next community death battle. I will be checking out the chat. Go ahead and leave your idea, along with the franchise that the characters are from, just in case I don't recognize the character names. And I will take the next battle from the chat while we're discussing the current one. Please don't spam it. If you spam it a bunch, I'm
Just
gonna
not
have
gonna
to
pick
ignore
it.
it. But I definitely want to see what you guys think the next community death battle should be.
Can I just say before we get started, every time you mention community death battle, I know what it is. But in my head, it's just like, this week we have Jerry from Michigan versus Tommy from Florida. Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
And they just like filmed it themselves or something. Yeah. It's like, I know what it is, but just my brain is just like, that'd be funny. Yeah.
I mean,
So, Yoshi.
I think we could get a good matchup from it.
Yo, Jerry
Why
and
not? I got the guy
Thomas,
for
get
it.
on it. Yeah.
All right, so the
Yoshi
community death
Tails.
battle for this week is Yoshi versus Tails, requested last week by Yoshi Rocks. I forgot to mention.
There might be a bias in this one.
Right.
Just a little bit. Little.
Well,
Yeah.
we do have answers from you guys, as always. Community death battles mostly decided by you guys using hashtag DeathBattleCast on Twitter. And so we have an answer from Lemeowed?
Lemio.
For Yoshi. And Lemeowed says, Yoshi wins. He hit Raphael the Raven so hard that he literally flew across space and turned into a constellation. He's fast enough to keep up with Mario and Luigi, so Tails won't be having a speed advantage. Yoshi can also tank hits from an adult Bowser. Tails just got foxed.
Yeah, we will now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what? Who's this Raven? What?
Who?
I wish
Yeah.
there was a
Raven
picture.
the
Island.
yeah, it's
Island.
a boss from Yoshi's Island. It's the big clown-looking thing, right?
It's like a bird looking.
Well, yeah, I would assume.
It's like a bird. You hit him, he flies into the sky and becomes a constellation.
That's some serious
it's
shit.
it's a very
Yeah.
comedic sort of.
Yeah,
scene.
yeah, Yoshi. That's one that's fucking hard to handle right there. You tell
Yeah.
me Yoshi's like that doesn't. There's no way any math can even be applied to like hitting somebody so hard they become a constellation.
Yeah.
Like a
Doesn't even work.
constellation
I mean,
requires so
it's
much,
so much
mass.
distance.
And multiple stars.
multiple
and like,
stars
yeah.
across the
Creating
universe.
stars is like just you need mass. Like
Yeah.
just look
Yeah.
at the fucking
And if
sun.
they-
Unless Raphael the
saw-
Raven is actually a giant balloon and actually weighs less than a gram.
Huh.
But it looks like he has stars inside of him.
Weird.
Is that supposed to be a thing?
Maybe he was
That's
always
weird.
a constellation.
And if they saw the constellation instantly, then we're also dealing with like time, because you don't see constellations.
Is Yoshi a wizard?
Yeah,
Can he
'cause-
just,
yeah, exactly. If it was
Yeah.
created, it would take however far away it is,
Yeah,
light speed to us.
insane.
Yeah, which at the least, like what the sun is like 13 minutes or something, right? Some shit like that. So, yeah, like I mean,
We're dealing with
It would
like
be more
One
than
Punch
that.
Man levels of strength
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Yoshi.
I don't know about
Yeah.
these Yoshi feats you got here.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
seem a little bonkers.
All right, well, we got an
Yeah.
answer for Yoshi from this one is
no,
from
this is for Tails.
I flipped it unfortunately on Trigon. Yeah, you were right. Leave me out. Yoshi wins. The next one is Akibi for Tails.
So this one is
Oh.
Akibi for so we had the
it
wrong
mixed
image
up.
up.
Yeah, I got
Gotcha.
the wrong image. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
My fault.
So we already saw Akibi's answer for Tails, but read off Meow's answer for Yoshi.
I'll fix it up.
All right, so Akibi says for Tails. Tails is a super genius mechanic, MacGyver. He's made vehicles which surpass Sonic's speed. His body defies skeletal and gravitational laws, as it's impossible for him to spin his tail like he does. That's true when
Yeah.
you think about it.
Yeah.
Tails will punch Yoshi in the back of the head and jump off him for the win. Okay.
Seems rude of Tails.
Yeah, it does seem very rude. Come on, Miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Tails is like oh man, this one's all fucked.
Yeah, I can't stop thinking about the constellation thing. I mean,
Yeah, I
should
don't.
defy space
I'm
and
going
time.
Yoshi.
But what if Tails gets all the Chaos Emeralds?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like, has that ever
So-
been answered? Has
so-
there ever been like a Super Tails?
Yes, he does have
Ah.
a form. Hyper Tails? Is it called Hyper Tails in Sonic 3? Basically, he gets little
My
birds.
God.
Little
A
birds?
bunch of little flicky birds appear around him, and he can throw them at people.
What about?
Do
what
they
about
turn into
the-
constellations?
No.
Like, okay.
Do y'all know about? I think it's Titan Tails.
Titan
The
Tails.
comics have a bunch of other forms. Turbo Tails, he gets a cape, and he's basically just Super Sonic, but with a cape. Titan Tails is when all the Tailses from all universes combine into a
The
giant
multiverse of
Herculean
Tails.
tails.
And he's like
Do they link
swole.
by
He's
the
like the
tails?
Hulk.
Titan
rat
Tails.
king? God.
Wow.
No, a
they
lot of them
become
actually
He-Man,
die.
but as a fox, and he's giant.
I think a bunch of them are dying, and that's why they do it, or some shit like that. It's really
It's
fucking
some story
stupid.
about a mammoth dude destroying universes and Tails. And the
It's
chosen one, blah, blah,
awful.
blah. It's really bad.
It's comedically bad. I read the comic because somebody linked it to me once, and I was like, "Oh god, it is."
They set up this story, and I used to read the Sonic comics. They set up this story about him being a chosen one for like years and years and years, way back in like the 90s,
Yeah.
and then they never finished it. And so like a decade later, they were like, "Oh shit, we never finished this plot line. Let's just insert a quick story at the back end of our comic about it being finished." Okay, it's done. So it was really bad.
They
Yeah.
just wanted to hit that check mark. And they're like, done.
Yeah.
Just put it
It's
away.
Super
Yeah.
Tails. You're
Moving
right.
on.
You're right, Ethan.
Okay.
It was Super Tails has the
birds.
flicky birds.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Okay.
Because they were Supersonic,
The
Super Tails,
origin
and
of
Super
Angry
Knuckles.
Birds.
Yep. Yeah, basically he just throws angry birds at people.
yeah.
Okay.
But like, I mean, he's invincible,
Yeah.
technically.
Until he runs out of rings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does have a time limit. So are you guys still thinking Yoshi?
Yeah, Yoshi.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Yosh.
Yeah. Yoshi makes sense. Because also you can use Yoshi to get like the furthest sandbag hit in Smash Brothers, right? You know what I'm talking
Yoshi
about?
also
Yeah.
does, I believe, like create infinite mass. He can do eggs.
Oh,
as
out of
much as he
nowhere, yeah.
wants.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yoshi is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So Yoshi.
Yoshi.
Yeah, Yoshi, just
I'm gonna go
because,
Yoshi,
yeah.
too.
Okay, I think I'm gonna lean Yoshi as well.
Oh wow.
So we're all voting for
We're
Yoshi.
full Yoshi here.
Let's see what the poll has to
Sure
say
it'll be
from you guys.
100% Yoshi. Oh wow.
Yeah, 58%
very close.
Yoshi.
Yoshi.
Yeah.
Close.
Oh, pretty
See,
close
that's
though.
good. Dinosaur egg, fox plane. I get
That's
I get
great.
where you're going there. Yeah.
Very good.
Way better than the Mew one. Which give me.
All right, so for the next week's community death battle, I got a request from AG Brown 54 from the chat in honor of Deadpool coming back for the next episode of Death Battle. Let's bring back his first ever opponent in Death Battle, Deathstroke against Taskmaster.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I can see that.
I also had to double check to make sure we haven't done that in the community death battle before. Thank God for the Death Battle wiki. You guys are lifesavers. I was
Yeah.
able to like real quick. They have every single community death battle we've
That's
ever done
awesome.
listed. Thank you. Appreciate it. So I can just go over there and
Amazing.
search real quick. But Deathstroke versus Taskmaster is our next community death battle, thanks to AG Brown 54. Let us know who you think should win using hashtag DeathBattleCast on Twitter. There will be a poll up near the end of this week that you can vote on, and we will discuss it on next week's Death Battle Cast. Thank you guys so much for sticking with us. I know this episode was a little long. We had a lot to talk about, clearly. But we are super excited for Deadpool versus Mask. Now you can bring it back up. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.